we will get started with talking a little bit of women's March Madness.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not familiar with it, the women do the exact same thing as the men do. There's the 62 team bracket. They are out. There's the bracket. It looks the exact same. You go through, you pick them, you fill them out, and then the women's Final Four will be the same weekend as the men's Final Four this year. So it'll follow the exact same path of days, and
which
and
you will be at.
it. I will be at. Yeah, I'll be emceeing the women's Final Four up here in Dallas, so I'm incredibly excited about that. So that's why I got to start studying up on my women's bracket as well to see who we think. So
yeah, I was thinking about this when I was filling out my bracket. I was looking at my Final Four and I was like, wow, like you're gonna get to see
that. Oh,
these
I know.
teams, which is really stinking cool because there is some insane talent.
Yeah,
insane
talent, and there's some really unbelievable coaching talent that I could have the
famous
possibility
coaching
to
talent.
see. Like if South Carolina takes care of business like South Carolina should and definitely makes it to the Final Four, like seeing Dawn Stanley coach in person will be like unbelievable. Like if LSU figures out a way to make it through that tough region out there in the Greenville.
No, Region 2.
Region 2. Yeah. If they find a way to make it out of that, like seeing Kim Mulkey coach in person, which is something that I haven't seen. Even in her time at Baylor, I haven't seen that.
Right.
So there are some like big time names that would be really, really cool to see. So who do you have in your Final Four?
Okay. And if you don't know already, we broke down the men's bracket on TFT with Greg Powers on Monday. So if you want to hear about the men's bracket, we've already done that. So now it's time for the women's bracket. In my Final Four, coming out of Region 1, it's kind of a no-brainer, South Carolina.
Yeah, that seems right.
They're undefeated. They're on the hunt for their second straight title in a row, so wouldn't be surprised to see them coming out of Region 1. Out of Region 2, this one to me was a little tough. I ultimately went with Indiana just because they're the regular season Big Ten champions. They didn't win the Big Ten tournament, but they are super strong, super deep. I can definitely see them making it all the way to the Final Four. They got to get past a couple of really tough teams, like you said, LSU and Villanova, but I really think that they are the favorites to come out of Region 2. Out of Region 3, this one was really tough for me. I didn't go with what most people I think are going to go with. In Virginia Tech, I picked UConn to come out of Region 2. Mainly just based on experience, just because they are such a tough team. They are a 2 seed too. I think that you could pretty much go either way with Virginia Tech or UConn, but I ultimately went with UConn coming out of Region 3. And then out of Region 4, this is a gauntlet of a region. This has to be probably the toughest region, I would say, from top to bottom. I picked Iowa.
Yeah,
I picked Iowa coming out of that. But, I mean, you could go with Duke. You could go with Stanford. You could go with Texas, and I wouldn't be surprised. But so altogether, I picked South Carolina out of Region 1, Region 2, Indiana, Region 3, UConn, and then Region 4, Iowa. So that's my Final Four. I want to hear your Final Four before we go into championship.
Yeah. So I agree. I think 32-0 speaks to the level of competition
and the
that
coaching
South Carolina brings. I think they have Aaliyah Boston, who's the best player, hands down, in college basketball right now. Now, maybe I would say the best overall player. I think there's a better shooter. We'll get to that in a second.
Yes.
But yes, out of Region 1, South Carolina is the pick. I think that they are just that level of talent that it will be nearly impossible for someone to trip them up. Like, that would have to be one of, I don't know if I'm willing to say out of all sports, but that would be like an actual catastrophic upset. It's more so than usual.
To beat South Carolina.
Yeah. Anytime UConn women's basketball loses, it's like a catastrophic upset. Right. But like this one would be next level shocking if they did not make it out of Region 1. Out of Region 2, I'm going to go a little bit off the beaten path here. I'm going to go with LSU.
Okay, good pick.
I know that's not anywhere close to being the favorite out of that region. Like we said, I think Indiana is a clear-cut favorite there. I like someone like Villanova, to be honest with you.
I was just about to say that.
Like, I know they're the 4 seed, but I do like that. I think that Utah is very dangerous out of that region, but I have faith in Kim Mulkey being able, like, especially in deep runs. She's been here before. I think that sophomore guard Angel Reese has been unbelievable this year. So I'll be interested to see, with their best player being a sophomore and not having that much of experience like that in a deep playoff run, it'll be interesting to see. But I trust Kim Mulkey when it comes to getting someone to the Final Four. So I'm going to go LSU out of Region 2. Out of Region 3, I'm going with Virginia Tech.
Yep.
I think that
good one.
I completely understand. I went back and forth between them and UConn because it's just impossible not to pick UConn to go. I love this Virginia Tech team. I think that they're unbelievably talented. Maddie Siegrist has been outstanding down low. I think that she provides a real post presence that a lot of teams don't have. I think Elizabeth Kitley has been fantastic. I think that Virginia Tech has a really, really deep roster that will show out. So I'm going to go with Virginia Tech, and then I am going to agree with you in Region 4 and go with Iowa. That's more of a me wanting to see Caitlin Clark make it to the Final Four. Yeah. I want that matchup, and kind of moving even further into that, the idea of seeing Caitlin Clark take on South Carolina.
That's exactly why.
That's why I'm speaking it into existence. I want it to happen. I think that would be the best thing ever. That to me,
I think so too.
Would be. Going even further than that, I put in the semifinals, I have South Carolina winning that one, and I have Virginia Tech beating LSU.
Yeah. Okay.
I have South Carolina as my champion.
Yeah.
But as good as a game as South Carolina Virginia Tech would be in a national championship, one from just two full-on team perspectives, that would be unbelievable. But just seeing Caitlin Clark go up against South Carolina is something that I desperately need in my life.
Yeah, and they haven't played this year, Iowa and South Carolina, so I think that would to me be a national championship.
I just want to speak it into existence.
I'm with you there on the South Carolina pick. I picked them to come out of the left side of the bracket, and then I picked Indiana to beat UConn. So kind of in the same aspect as you, I've got a 1 taking on a 1 in the national championship, and then like you, I picked South Carolina as my champion. I just think they're too deep, and they're just too good to overlook. So I picked them as well. Who was a hard matchup coming out of the first round that you kind of had? You kind of had to double look or double think about. I'll give you one of mine.
Okay.
And it's kind of an upset. I picked a 12 over a 5. I picked Florida Gulf Coast over Washington State. They're on a 14-15 game win streak right now.
I like that.
I think that, and all the experts tell you that there's at least bound to be 1-12-5 upset. Mm-hmm. And so I think that one was probably the most likely. So that's kind of my upset pick in the first round. We can kind of go with that if you've got an upset pick.
Yeah, well, another 12-5 that I do like is I like Toledo and Iowa State. I think
Iowa
that
State
there
is
is.
very
I like
vulnerable.
that Toledo squad a lot. And then obviously the difference between Toledo's conference games and Iowa State's conference games is huge, but I don't think that the Big 12 is near as deep this year in women's basketball as it has been in the past. So typically anytime you see a Big 12 program come out, it's like, oh yeah, they should absolutely be able to do that. But if I had to choose one upset pick that I like, I think out of there in that Region 3, Toledo and Iowa State would be one, which would make it even that much of a lighter path for Virginia Tech to be able to make it through if that ended up happening.
Right.
I mean, heck, even if you want to go one above that, the 8 and 9, not that that's really an upset, but I think South Dakota State.
I picked South Dakota State too.
USC.
Yeah, I do too. I picked them as well.
South Dakota State's a really, really, really good team.
They are.
There's a lot of people out there saying, hey, keep an eye on that.
I think USC's kind of injured right now too, so I think that could be an upset watch.
I don't know
well,
much about
of.
Illinois or Mississippi State, or if they've even played that game as a look-in game. But Creighton was the one that made the surprisingly
Cinderella run
big
last year.
Cinderella run, and I kind of wonder if that's one of those things that they're going, oh, okay, now we're seated really well. This should be a breeze, and they overlook it just a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's more of a mental game than I think. I think Creighton was a better team than either of those two teams. I don't really know much about them, but I wouldn't be surprised if Creighton had the Cinderella run last year and then kind of spit the bit.
I have Creighton playing, I'm sure you do too, Notre Dame in the round of 32. Mm-hmm. That would be a really, really good early matchup too. I think a big test for Creighton as well early on in the tournament. So. Yeah.
So there you go. We both think that the that South Carolina is gonna take home the championship, but we are speaking it into existence. I need South Carolina versus Caitlin Clark in the Final Four. I need that in my life.
That would be so good.
It would be so
That would
stinking
be.
good.
We'd have. Well, I was gonna say
Friday
we'd have to
night
have a
in
watching
Dallas,
party,
Texas.
but yeah, you be there.
I was saying,
Actually,
you can come.
well,
to
let
the
me know.
actual
I would
party.
love to come. That would be super
Like,
fun.
I will be at the party.
Yeah.
But yeah, to see that matchup in person would be unbelievable. So
Yeah, I agree with
women's
that.
Final Four tickets. There's so much other stuff that they're doing around the Final Four too, that if you're anywhere in the DFW area, come on out, because there's a ton of stuff going on like throughout the days. Thursday, I think it even starts all the way up to, like, Wednesday. But the 2 semifinal games will be Friday night at 6 and 8:30. The D2 and D3 national championships will be 11 and 2:30 on Saturday, and then the actual national championship itself will be 2:30 on Sunday. So
Okay.
and I honestly think I couldn't imagine the ticket prices, being that it's at the AAC for like a D3 national championship, being outrageous. Like, if you've got little girls at home that really are enjoying playing basketball right now, or you're an AAU coach and you want to bring a team out there, like, you want to talk about because this is the first time they're hosting D2 and D3 national championships in the Final Four weekend, at the same location.
Right.
So if you've got any little girls that are looking to get out in the DFW area or anywhere around here, around Texas, come on out to that. It should be a good time. And there's tons of other stuff to do in and around the AAC that they're putting on concert performances like at night, and tons of stuff.
That's really cool that they're blowing that up.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
I like
I'm
that.
really, really excited for that. So it'll be a weekend full of good basketball. But yeah, fill out your women's brackets. You've got until tomorrow. Tomorrow for all brackets.
Yeah, because
today's Wednesday.
Yeah, because yesterday, I think, so the men had a couple of play-in games last night, which, by the way, Mississippi State and I'm blanking on who they played. Pitt was a fantastic game.
Really?
It was a
Ted
men's
Emmerich
play-in
on the
game.
call? I think Ted might have been on the call for that one.
I don't
He was
remember.
on the call for something.
But it was such a good game, and I was like, man, I am so ready for March Madness.
Injected
Like,
into my
it's going to be
veins.
so much fun. But I just realized too, I picked Alabama to win in my men's bracket and South Carolina to win in my women's. It's an all SEC
Yeah.
type bracket
good.
here, which I'm not a fan of, but
Oh yeah, him and John Crispin were on the call on Westwood 1. They had the
cool.
had the Texas A&M Corpus Christi game, and then Pittsburgh and Mississippi State.
Which, by the way, move on. I'm scatterbrained right now. Do you know who plays for Texas A&M Corpus Christi?
No.
Jalen Jackson, former UNT Mean Green.
No kidding.
Yeah, so he'll be playing in the tournament,
With
which
his
is
little
really cool.
sweatband. He always wore a little sweatband.
Yeah, they'll be playing Alabama in the first round, so I thought that was pretty cool. Tough.
Yeah, that's that Alabama men's team is
Very good.
really good. I've watched many of their games, and they are scary. So anyway, women talking hoops.